Matthew lived a humble life, one that was far removed from the world of high-stakes crime and mystery. He resided in a small, two-dimensional vector town, where everything was simple and straightforward. His daily routine consisted of waking up early, heading to his job at the local diner, and returning home in the evening to watch TV or read a book. Matthew's life was quiet and unassuming, with no inkling of the extraordinary events that were about to unfold. As he went about his day, Matthew couldn't help but feel a sense of restlessness. He had always been fascinated by the world of true crime and mystery, often finding himself immersed in documentaries and podcasts on the subject. His friends and family would often tease him about his obsession, but Matthew couldn't help it. There was something about the thrill of the unknown that drew him in. Little did he know, his life was about to take a drastic turn, one that would propel him into the very world he had always been fascinated by. It started with a strange occurrence at the diner where Matthew worked. A mysterious car collector, known only by his pseudonym, the Enthusiast, had been making waves in the local community. This individual was rumored to have an extensive collection of rare and exotic vehicles, and was willing to go to great lengths to acquire the cars he desired. Matthew had heard whispers about the Enthusiast, but never thought much of it. That was until the day he received a cryptic message from the collector himself. The message was simple yet ominous. "Meet me at the old warehouse on the outskirts of town at midnight. Come alone." Matthew was both intrigued and terrified by the message. Who was this mysterious collector, and what did he want with him? Despite his reservations, Matthew found himself drawn to the meeting, a sense of morbid curiosity getting the better of him. As the clock struck midnight, Matthew made his way to the old warehouse, his heart racing with anticipation. What he found there would change his life forever. The warehouse was dimly lit, the only sound the creaking of old wooden beams. Matthew called out into the darkness, his voice barely above a whisper. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, the Enthusiast. He was tall, with a chiseled jawline and piercing eyes that seemed to bore into Matthew's very soul. The Enthusiast spoke in a low, gravelly voice, his words dripping with an air of sophistication. "Matthew, I've been watching you. I know all about your fascination with true crime and mystery. I have a proposition for you, one that will change your life forever." The Enthusiast explained that he was not just a car collector, but a connoisseur of the rare and unknown. He had a network of sources and informants, people who provided him with information about the most elusive and coveted vehicles in the world. But the Enthusiast was getting older, and he needed someone to take over his operation. He had chosen Matthew for the task, citing his keen mind and passion for mystery as the perfect qualities for the job. Matthew was stunned. He had never imagined that his life would take such a drastic turn. As the Enthusiast began to explain the intricacies of his operation, Matthew found himself becoming increasingly enthralled. He learned about the different ranks of car collectors, each with their own unique characteristics and motivations. There were the beginners, who were just starting to build their collections and were eager to learn. Then there were the enthusiasts, who had deep passion for cars and were always on the lookout for the next big find. The connoisseurs were the most elite, with a refined taste and a keen eye for the rare and exotic. And finally, there were the legends, the crème de la crème of car collectors, who had spent years building their collections and had earned the respect of their peers. Matthew was fascinated by the world of car collecting, and he soon found himself immersed in the enthusiast's operation. He learned about the different types of cars, from vintage roadsters to high-performance sports cars. He discovered the art of negotiating, and how to navigate the complex web of relationships between collectors and dealers. As he delved deeper into the world of car collecting, Matthew began to realize that there was more to it than just buying and selling cars. It was a world of mystery and intrigue, where nothing was as it seemed and everyone had an angle. As Matthew rose through the ranks of car collectors, he encountered a cast of characters that were as colorful as they were suspicious. There was the charismatic dealer, who seemed to have an endless supply of rare vehicles. the reclusive collector, who was rumored to have a collection worth millions, and the mysterious stranger, who seemed to appear and disappear at will. Each of these characters had their own story to tell, and Matthew found himself drawn into a complex web of alliances and rivalries. As he navigated this treacherous landscape, Matthew began to uncover a dark underbelly to the world of car collecting. He discovered that some collectors were willing to do whatever it took to get their hands on the cars they desired, including theft, bribery, and even murder. The enthusiast had warned him about the dangers of the trade, but Matthew had never imagined that it was this bad. He found himself in a world of true crime and mystery, where the stakes were high and the players were ruthless. Despite the risks, Matthew couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and thrill. He was living a life he never thought possible, one that was full of danger and uncertainty. As he rose through the ranks of car collectors, Matthew encountered increasingly rare and exotic vehicles. He learned about the history and craftsmanship behind each car, and he developed a deep appreciation for the art of collecting. But he also knew that he had to be careful, for in the world of car collecting, one misstep could be fatal. As Matthew delved deeper into the world of true crime and mystery, he began to realize that nothing was as it seemed. The enthusiast, who had started him on this journey, was not what he appeared to be. The charismatic dealer, the reclusive collector, and the mysterious stranger, each of them had secrets and motives that Matthew could hardly begin to imagine. He found himself in a complex game of cat and mouse, where the players were constantly shifting and the stakes were always high. And yet, despite the dangers and uncertainties, Matthew couldn't help but feel a sense of exhilaration. He was living a life he never thought possible, one that was full of mystery and intrigue. As he looked back on his journey, Matthew realized that he had come a long way from his humble beginnings. He had started as a simple car enthusiast, but he had risen to become something much more. He was a player in the world of true crime and mystery, a world that was full of danger and excitement. As Matthew continued on his journey, he encountered even more twists and turns. He discovered hidden secrets and uncovered surprising revelations. He met new characters, each with their own unique stories and motivations. And he found himself drawn into a world of mystery and intrigue, where nothing was as it seemed and everyone had an angle. Through it all, Matthew remained steadfast, using his keen mind and quick wit to navigate the complex web of relationships and alliances. In the end, Matthew emerged as a legend in the world of car collecting, a master of the game who had earned the respect of his peers. He had risen through the ranks, from beginner to enthusiast to connoisseur, and had finally achieved the ultimate goal, to become a legend. And yet, despite all that he had accomplished, Matthew knew that he would never forget his humble beginnings. He would always be grateful to the enthusiast, who had started him on this journey, and had taught him the ways of the trade. As Matthew looked back on his life, he realized that it had been a wild and unpredictable ride. He had encountered danger and uncertainty at every turn, but he had also experienced excitement and thrill. He had risen to become a legend in the world of car collecting, and he had earned the respect of his peers. And through it all, Matthew had remained true to himself, never losing sight of his passion for true crime and mystery. If you've enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. What do you think Matthew's next move should be? Should he continue to rise through the ranks of car collectors, or should he take a different path? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories like this one.